Welcome to our media channel. Here we try to share wisdom in detail, in depth. If you feel some of the discussions to be inaccessible or unfamiliar, we invite you to go over to the Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll find much more universal wisdom. We also invite you to join our Wisdom That Breeds community, where we're gathering individuals who want to make the world a more beautiful place by sharing wisdom. A real honor to be here. It's my last day in New York before heading back to the UK. But yeah, it's been wonderful to be here. And yeah, I think our topic this evening is pretty interesting. I'm not going to speak too long. I'm going to speak about 30-40 minutes, show you guys some videos and stuff. And hopefully, yeah, just stimulate some thoughts within you about the future. The world is changing at breakneck speed. And what does it all mean for us? And what does the Bhagavad Gita perhaps say about the future of the world? And what kind of environment we'll be living in the next 10, 20, 30 years. So that's what we'll be talking about. And, well, let me just warm up by showing you a video. Just turn this down, that's it.
The Holocene has ended. What we do now, and in the next few years, will profoundly affect the next few thousand years. The only conditions modern humans have ever known so far are changing, and changing fast.
Nothing stays the same on this planet. Everything changes. The Earth is going into one of these jumps, and you don't know what is going to be on the other side of those jumps. The Earth is always jumping. Things move on this planet. Things are not still. Everything is turning.
Hare Krishna. So just a disclaimer, I don't know how much of that is accurately true, but it's just to help us to begin thinking about this topic of how the world we're living in is changing exponentially. The rate of change every decade in this time we're living in now is probably equal to 1 or 2 centuries of history. In other words, the technology it's just so difficult to predict what kind of environment we're going to be living in. And therefore, it's good to take a step back and really look at our internal world and how we respond to it. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. The external world, which is constantly changing and unpredictable, and the internal world that we inhabit, and how those two kind of come into an intersection. And we'll be looking at, obviously, the insights of the Bhagavad Gita. So before I do that, I'll just say a prayer, and then we'll move forward with our discussion. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. So we're in 2026. It's incredible to think 25 years have gone since the turn of the millennium. Do you remember where you were when it was the year 2000 and the clocks were changing and everyone thought the world was going to stop when that second would go into the new millennium, so everyone was stocking up with toilet paper and stuff like that. Essentials. Times have changed, and these are the generations actually which have affected the change. In the beginning of that video, I don't know if you heard it, but the narrator said, we have entered the Anthropocene. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, but in the history of the world, there are different geological ages. So the previous geological age was known as the Holocene. But this geological age, which was triggered by these generations, is now known as the Anthropocene. Anthropo means the man, humankind, and Anthropocene means that the humans are the dominant species. In other words, in other geological ages, we were subservient to nature. But what's happening in this geological age is that humans are able to dominate even nature to some extent. Of course, nature kicks back and humbles humankind from time to time, but humans are having an incredible impact on the geology. For example, they're wiping out species. Humans are causing mass destruction to the environment, climate change, pollution, all those kind of things. Humans are developing nuclear weapons that can decimate huge parts of the earth. Natural resources are in decline because of the exploitation and the abuse. So we're living in the Anthropocene, a time of human domination. And they say the Anthropocene began around 1950. So these are the different generations. So now you can locate yourself what part of the destructive cycle you were in. This generation, the silent generation, anyone here from the silent generation? Maybe not. They're silent, of course, you wouldn't hear them. The silent generation were actually an incredible generation. They were known for their resilience and for their determination, because the silent generation lived through world wars. They lived through economic depressions. And then it said that the next generation were known as the baby boomers. They were the ones who were innovative, actually. They were very hardworking because they grew up in a time in the world when things had to be rebuilt after a world war, which practically affected all parts of the planet. Economies, societies had to be rebuilt. And then Generation X. Anyone a Generation X? Yeah, that's me. We got MTV. Generation X were the first generation to kind of begin with computers and all that kind of stuff, entertainment, different entertainment technologies. And Generation X are said to be the first generation which is more rebellious, which is more like questioning, which is more challenging paradigms. And then you've got the millennials. Any millennials in the house? Yeah, look around. These are the people you have to thank for the social media revolution. They're the ones that made social media go viral. And then you obviously have Generation Z, Z if you're British, and then you have the Alpha. Generation Z are known as like digital natives because they don't know life separate from technology, like they grew up with all those things. And Alpha are just no one can quite define it. They're living in the time of their AI kids, you know, so you never know what's going to happen with them. Now you see them, now you don't, kind of thing, you know. So yeah, it's interesting how every generation adds something and is responding to the kind of environmental times that we're living in. So today we're going to kind of look at this a little bit. So I don't know why that's there, but so I guess I should preface this talk by people may be looking at this thinking like, what is all this? Like, why is it so important to know about the world? What's going on in the world? What's going on in the future? The Bhagavad Gita says this world is just like temporary. It's just a flash in eternity. It comes, it goes. And in one sense, the storyline of the world is the same. Whatever the details differ, but the basic storyline is the same. So should we even worry about these trends? Should we even know about them? And well, the way we could see it is that there are two kind of extremes when we think about knowing about the world as spiritualists. One is that you can just become overly influenced and overly overwhelmed by it and just kind of absorb yourself in all these matters of, you know, constant change in the world, so much so that it diverts you and distracts you. And I think the other extreme might be to just be completely ignorant about it and not know anything. And perhaps that's not healthy either, because a spiritualist lives in the world, and therefore we have to know what influences are around us. A spiritualist is also trying to share with other people who are living in the world and influenced by this. So in order to serve people and help them, we have to also know what are their pain points, what they're going through. But obviously we also want to make the world a better place in the short time that we're here, and therefore understanding some of the weaknesses of this age is necessary. So for all these reasons, we say, don't be influenced by all these things, and at the same time, don't be ignorant about it, but just be informed about it. Know enough so that you can be inspired in how you come and show up in the world to make a difference. And having this little bit of understanding empowers you to reach the world, reach people. And that's why we do a session like this, because oftentimes spiritual people tend to disconnect themselves from the world and not really know what's going on. And that might not be super healthy. So I just want to begin by kind of sharing with you like a framework by which we can kind of go forward and understand or try to grasp what's happening in the world at this moment in time. So as you know, in the world, there are many, many different philosophies. So there's different ways to categorize philosophies and different lenses and perspectives through which to see them. But I'm going to show you and share with you one lens through which you can learn something about the philosophies of this world. So imagine this x-axis is representing this world, and this y-axis is representing the spirit world. And imagine on one side you have those who believe the spirit world is real, and those who believe that there is nothing. There's nothing. This is it, guys. This is everything. Life begins and ends in New York. And then on this axis, people who believe this world is real. This is real. We're really here. This is not an illusion. This is substantial. And there are people who also believe this world is unreal. It's just an illusion. We're not really here. It's just a dream. It comes, it goes, it appears to have substance, but it isn't. So if you divide philosophies in this way, then you can begin to understand something about how different people are approaching life. So in this quadrant, what we would basically have is the philosophy of materialism. Materialists very much believe in the material world. They have goals, they have ambitions, they have plans, they have things they want to enjoy. But they believe it begins and ends here. So that's it. There's no spirit world, there's no other God. As Richard Dawkins advertised, there's probably no God, so just have a good time. So that's how some people approach. This world is real, no other world beyond this, materialism. But But it's very interesting. If you look at materialists, what they do is they try to create a technological paradise, or what they try to do is create a fictional paradise. So what they say is that there's no spiritual world. But then what they do through all their endeavors in this world is they try to create a paradise, they try to create a perfection, they try to almost create the spiritual world right here. That's basically what technology is doing. Technology and technological advancement is aimed at eradicating every single conceivable problem you could ever experience. And in that way, this world becomes paradise. So that's what basically the materialistic approach is. And the fictional paradise is, let's do entertainment, let's have movies, let's have things like Disneyland. So that we can almost like conceive of a spiritual world right here. So it's very interesting that even though materialists say there's no spirit world, through all of their endeavors, what they're actually trying to do is create that right here. So that's one approach to life. Let's move this way. This approach to life is perhaps the darkest approach to life. This is what we call nihilism, right? I was at when we were on monthly Sankirtan festival actually the other day. I stopped a lady and she goes, "Don't stop me, I'm a nihilist." I was like, wow. She was serious, you know. So nihilists are very, very interesting because they definitely don't believe in a spirit world. But they also believe that the material world is meaningless, is pointless. The difference between a nihilist and a materialist is that a materialist may not believe in God, but they actually believe that there's worthwhile things that you can do and experience in the world. But a nihilist, a true nihilist, it's very difficult to find a true nihilist because although she said, "I'm a nihilist," I mean, she was running to catch her train. So clearly, she had a purpose. She had some meaning. Otherwise, why would you run for your train, right? It wouldn't make any sense. But to find a true nihilist is difficult. I mean, amongst philosophers, perhaps Friedrich Nietzsche, they say, is perhaps the closest. But all of these people, they fight, even though they say there's no meaning here, there's no meaning beyond, it's all meaningless, it's suffering. If you try to mitigate the suffering, you're going to suffer even more. So a true nihilist, for them actually, the only question is like, when is this going to end? Okay, let's swiftly move on from that one. It's not very inspiring, that one. We won't dwell there. And then this is an interesting quadrant. Those that believe the spirit world is real, but the material world this is just illusion. What philosophy is that? Right, impersonalism. So the famous mantra of Shankara is Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So like all Vedic philosophies have three truths. They're known as the Tattva-traya. So there's Jiva, Prakriti. Jiva means the soul, Prakriti means the world, and there's Brahman, or the absolute. So basically what Shankara does by his logic and his philosophical conjecture is he annihilates, he shows that actually Jiva and Prakriti, the soul and this world, are actually illusory concepts, and all there is Brahman. It's not even that you merge back into Brahman. You were never separate from it anyway, because what you're experiencing now is it's not even real. So that's the impersonalist approach. And then here you have theism, right, or the personalist approach. So that's the Hare Krishnas and many others who believe that, yes, this world is real, this world has a purpose, this world comes from God, as is said in the famous Upanishadic verse, Om Purnam Adapurnamidam Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshate. This very, very profound verse, which actually says that not only is this world coming from God, but it's actually perfect. The world is perfect. The material world is perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. In other words, it's perfect for its purpose. It has a purpose, it has a goal, it has something very, very specific to teach each person who's transiting through this place. And if you can engage with it in the right way, then the material world can give you the greatest benefit. So basically, the theists, they don't try to enjoy the world. Who's trying to enjoy the world here? The materialist, right? They don't eliminate the world. Who's trying to eliminate the world? The nihilist, right? And they don't even try to escape the world, because that's what the impersonalists are doing. All they believe in is how to engage with the world. You don't need to deny it. You don't need to run away from it. You don't need to try to invest all your hopes and your heart into it. But you just need to know how to navigate it appropriately and how to utilize it for the greatest benefit. And if you do, the material world ceases to be a miserable place. These individuals will just tell you it's misery here. Everything is, or if you, for example, Buddhist teachings, Shunyavad, will tell you it's all suffering here. And Krishna does say that actually in the Gita. Mamupetya punarjanma dukhalaya mashashvatam. Dukhalaya literally means the abode of misery. But the interesting thing is that future teachers describe the material world in a different place, in a different way. For example, Prabodhananda Saraswati will say, Vishvam Purna Sukhaya De. He says, everywhere I look in the Vishva, in the material world, all I see is happiness. You think like, wow, are these guys on the same page here? One is saying it's an abode of misery, and the other is saying it's an abode of complete happiness. What do you think? New York, Dukhalaya, Sukhalaya. What do you think? It depends. If you try to enjoy the world, Dukhalaya Mashashvatam. If you try to escape the world, Dukhalaya Mashashvatam. If you try to eliminate it, you're going to be frustrated. But if you learn how to engage with it, then it can actually be that which gives you the greatest benefit and that which shows you actually the beauty of divinity. So I'm just framing the whole thing here because basically the future of the world is basically around this. These people are basically driving the future of the world. And what the basic notion is that we're going to try and make paradise here in the world. And, well, do you think it's successful? I'm going to show you the four main issues that futurists are talking about in the world today as a result of where humanity is heading. So I'm going to show you four things. And when I saw these four things, immediately I saw a trend and connected it to something in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to try and share that with you. So I'm going to show you four major trends in the world, four major issues, four major things that are happening. And the first one is called the Anthropocene. I've already talked to you about that. So I'm just going to show you a little video about this. Do I need to switch this to the Bluetooth to get the... Okay, I think it's okay. You could hear that, right? Do you need it to be louder? You don't need it to be louder, right? Okay.
And that problem is us. In case you missed it, a group of scientists recently came together and announced that Earth had entered a new geological epoch. They call it the Anthropocene, the era of man. The Anthropocene marks a new age where humans are no longer simply pawns in Earth's development. Now, we're sculptors, for better or worse. It's the point at which our plastic, our leavings, will be seen in the geological record for millions of years to come. The group proposed the epoch began in 1950, when the radioactive elements from nuclear tests spread around the world. And so far, the age of man isn't looking all that great. In fact, scientists assert that the planet is currently undergoing a mass extinction event, and we're the ones that caused it. To make things worse, it's only the 6th mass extinction event since the beginning of complex life on Earth, which was 700 million years ago. We've altered up to 50% of Earth's land. We pump an extra 40 billion tons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year. Things are changing in a big way. This period will be remembered in the history books for a long time, a distinctly new chapter in the story of humanity and all life on Earth.
So yes, this is the Anthropocene. So humans are basically the dominant species, and what they basically are approaching the world with the vision that everything is for our enjoyment. And you may think, yeah, there's some very, very powerful people in the world, exploitative people in the world who approach our planet like that. But it's actually, we each, to some extent, have that mentality. This mentality of dominance, this mentality of feeling and thinking that resources are there for our comfort, they were arranged to be there for our pleasure. We just almost have this intuitive way of approaching the world. Like I remember last couple of years ago, I was on Brajamandal Parikrama. So, you know, like I'm a London boy, I'm an urban city slicker. And here I am, like, tenting out in, like, forests every night. So I remember, you know, we pitched up a tent somewhere in the middle of a field somewhere. And, like, in the middle of the night, all these, like, rats are running through and stuff. And, you know, like, I'm looking at these rats. I'm like, what are these rats doing here? It's so intrusive. Like, don't they understand? Like, this is my tent, you know? Like, and then it just occurred to me, like, I just pitched up a tent in the middle of the field. And I think they're intruding upon my space. It's so amazing, like, the way we just feel that we are the center of it. And the things that we do. You know, like in the Brahmachari ashram, we have, you know, obviously 30, 40 brahmacharis. So we used to get these shower gels, you know, like plastic, you know. So we just used to use them, right? Like everyone uses shower gel, right? And then at one point it occurred to me, there's 30 of us, we get through like one of these like every week, you know. That's 30 times a week, times 4 weeks, you know, times, you know, 52 weeks in a year, you know, whatever it is, do the maths, and you figure out how much plastic is that. What about if we all just use soap? Like simple things. We don't even think twice about it. I can't speak for everyone in the room, but at least for myself. Because we just assume that everything is for our enjoyment. And so this mentality is basically, yeah, the world, the environment is in such a mess. So this is a huge problem, the Anthropocene. Okay, so now just to depress you even more, let me share with you more problems that are coming up in the age of the Anthropocene. Deep fake. Okay, now this is another huge problem, that if you feed enough raw data, images, videos, audio of yourself, then they can create an avatar of you. Right, now I just show you a video, and then I want you to just think, like, what are the implications of this? This technology is existing. Soon this technology will be at your fingertips. What are the implications of this?
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
So this is going to become widespread. Identity theft, identity switching. Think about what this means. I mean, aside from the global problems of crime and fraud and so many things like that, think about what it means for the individual. Like according to the Bhagavad Gita, we have a spiritual identity. And the basic problem is that we also have a physical identity. And what we're basically doing is misidentifying with that physical identity. So we're living an artificial existence, and that identification with a temporary identity causes us so much pain. But now add a whole nother layer onto that of virtual identity. Like, people even struggle with finding their physical identity in this world now. And now add a whole nother layer of illusion which you have complete control over to create what you want to create, which is basically not you. Imagine the kind of confusion, the kind of cognitive dissonance that creates. Now there are AI engines which, if you keep feeding enough information of yourself into it from now, then what will happen is when you die, it will be all right. We'll miss you. But nobody else will miss you, because they'll be able to create an avatar and they'll be able to continue interacting with you even once you're dead. You'll speak to them, you'll laugh with them, you'll share your heart with them, you'll ask them for advice, and they'll speak to you. And it will be so accurate because of the amount of information that you've put in that you may just think they're still alive. I mean, what does this all mean for people's health, for people's consciousness? I mean, it's a very worrying situation. So let's go even further down the rabbit hole. This is the next. So you got the first one, right? Anthropocene. Deep fake. Okay, here we go. This is the next one. Virtual disconnect. Not only are we now in crowded loneliness, but even more dangerous than that, we are in something called comfortable loneliness. Explain what this means. But let me just begin by showing you this graph. So this is very nice, how we spend our time. Spend time with your family. It's beautiful, your friends. Spend time at school, running around in the playground. Go to the restaurant, have a nice meal. Your neighbors, your colleagues, it's great, interactions. 1980, the online world begins, folks. Now watch the graph. This is how we spend our time. There you go. And we wonder why people are lonely. 60%, the average person spends 8 hours on a device every day. Right? And we wonder why people are lonely. You don't need to be a PhD rocket science to figure this all out. It's very simple. These are, they say loneliness is more dangerous to your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's an epidemic. And what it is it's not just Crowded loneliness means you're connected with so many people but disconnected from them. But comfortable loneliness means you know you're lonely. You know you don't have quality relationships. But the comfort and the illusion of what you're engaging with somehow just imprisons you within that life, and you don't even feel the impetus to come out. People know they're miserable living like this, and they just continue on. So it's a huge, and I'm just coming up, I haven't fixed these. These are literally the 4 main issues that they're talking about. And I'll show you the final one. Best for the last. And then there'll be some prasad. Hopefully. Prasad, not only physical prasad, virtual prasad. Apocalypse. Just in case you think it couldn't get any worse. Okay, so let me just show you this video before I say anything.
Atomic scientists have reset the so-called doomsday clock to 90 seconds to midnight, meaning they think the world is closer to ending than ever before. But what is the doomsday clock? It's a design the scientists use to tell the public how close they think we are to destroying the planet. Nuclear technology and climate science experts discuss the world events each year and work out where to move the clock's hands. The closer they place them to midnight, the closer they think we are to the threat of annihilation. Albert Einstein was among the scientists who created the clock in 1947. When it first started ticking, it sat at 7 minutes to midnight. But just 2 years later, when the USSR tested its first atomic bomb, the hands were moved to 3 minutes to midnight. In 1991, as the Cold War cooled down, the clock was set at its furthest time from catastrophe, 17 minutes to midnight. In the years since, the clock's hands have creeped closer to midnight. In 2020, geopolitical tensions and the climate crisis pushed the hands to just 100 seconds to midnight. But now, in 2023, the panel warned that humanity's existence is at greater risk than ever before, largely as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Nice. Sweet dreams. So the doomsday clock. So they say once it, gets closer and closer to midnight, extreme intolerance in the world with unimaginable power. That is a recipe for disaster. And that's the volatility of the world we're living in. I mean, all of you are here in New York today. As we were driving from Jersey City to the temple, we passed the World Trade Center. I just have to stop and think for a moment, like, what is going through the minds of people? What craziness, what impulsiveness, what insensitivity, what is happening up there? So it's very, very volatile. So this is the technological paradise that materialism is trying to create. And therefore, we can sit in here, and the purpose of this is not just to get really depressed about the world, because you may begin to think that, what can we really do to change the world? Can we really even turn it around? But each spiritualist can add something that can at least touch someone's world, if not the whole world. And perhaps if enough people do that, then there can be some progress. But what really struck me, I'm not going to speak too much longer, I'm going to open it up as well. But I just share one final thing with you. What struck me about this was, the first one was Anthropocene, right? That's the first problem we talked about. The second problem we talked about was deep fake. The third problem we talked about was virtual disconnection. And the final problem we talked about was apocalypse, right? Sorry, okay. So what struck me about this is that what Anthropocene kind of models is the complexity and the breakdown of the human relationship with the environment. What deep fake models is the breakdown of the human relationship with themselves. Because what deep fake will ultimately result in is so much more identity crisis. People won't even understand and be able to grasp who they are because they can just create things that they're not. Virtual disconnection models the breakdown between human and human. And what apocalypse models is... Oops, Krishna. I don't want to watch that video again. Don't watch that video again. What apocalypse models is the breakdown between human group and human group. So it's very interesting, actually. What you see in this, and these are the main four trends, is that what they're basically modeling is the breakdown of relationships on many levels. So now, what does the Bhagavad Gita have to say about all of this? That's why what we do here, what we do in spiritual community, what we do in what we call in Sanskrit Sangha, is so powerful, because what you do there is you establish the core relationship, which is the human divine. If the human divine relationship is reignited, is reawakened, and people then enter the world from having strong human divine relationships, what we would term Krishna consciousness or God consciousness, then what happens is the way you relate to others, the way you relate to yourself, the way you relate to the environment, the way you relate to yourself, the way you relate to others, and the way we relate in communities completely transforms. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yad Yad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam Shrimad Urjitameva Va. Whenever you see something beautiful in this world, you should understand it's part of my splendor. How can you exploit the environment when you know that it's a part of God's divinity? It's personal. The first step to exploiting something is to depersonalize it. But the moment you have a human divine relationship, you see divinity within your environment, there's no question of exploiting it. As soon as you know the human divine relationship, you know yourself. Prabhupada explains in his books that when the sun rises, then not only do you see the sun, but simultaneously you see yourself. And therefore he uses that analogy to explain that if you have God realization, then you have self-realization. Without God realization, the sun of that realization, you can't see yourself. And so it resolves the destabilizing nature of understanding ourselves. We understand. It solves the human to human, because if you think about bhakti or spiritual life, it's a communal affair. In fact, a Bengali verse will say, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sang. Bhakti, the endeavor to awaken spirituality, is necessarily done through human relationships. And therefore this human divine relationship brings people together. Matchita, matgata prana, bodhayanta parashparam. In other words, spiritual people come together and they enlighten one another to grow, to become empowered, to become inspired. And when there's a human divine connection, God consciousness, then even the ways in which groups relate to each other naturally, because of the other three, are much more congenial. So therefore, when Srila Prabhupada will make statements in his books, for example, in the Bhagavatam, he will say that, the Bhagavatam is meant to, redress the imbalance of values in the world. Prabhupada will make statements like, the Krishna consciousness movement will be known for saving the world from apocalypse, And you think like, what is that? What does that mean? But what it means is that the only hope for the world is if there are communities, places where people can revive the human-divine connection. Because as soon as you take that out, Krishna says this in the Gita, asatyam apratistamte jagatahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. So see, in the 16th chapter, Krishna says, asatyam. If you say the world is unreal, ahaitukam, it has no spiritual source, nothing controlling it, it's completely random, it comes, it goes, it's matter, nothing matters, then what does Krishna say? Eitam drishtim avashtabhya, furnished with that kind of vision, nashtatmanol pabuddhaya, lost to themselves, prabhavantyugra karmana, people will do things that will destroy the world. So that's the progression. The moment you take God out of the equation, you see the world only as matter, then the very next thing is everything is for exploitation, and lost to themselves and the deeper purpose, people will begin to engage in all kinds of activities to achieve their ends. And therefore, without God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, there's no hope. So every single book that's given out in the world, every single spiritual gathering, every single emanation of spiritual sound vibration is the greatest blessing for the world, because without that, this is where we are heading. So, let me just stop there. And before I ask for any feedback from you, I'm just going to ask you to turn to the person next to you and tell them what is depressing you the most. No, not just what's depressing you. But just what for you stood out there, and what do you think it does for you in terms of how you move forward in life, or just any thoughts you want to share with just have a little bit of a chat, just to like let some of that, all of that horror land with you, and then we'll just have a little bit of a discussion and see if you have any questions. Yeah. So just what stood out for you, what you think it could mean for you moving forward. How are you going to make a difference? Go for it. All right, everyone. Try and get you back. So I guess we have like 10-15 minutes. So yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to share anything. Perhaps you have a reflection. You may have a question. I doubt I'll be able to answer it. But if you have a question, you can also ask a question. But yeah, it would be nice to just have some exchange from you, and perhaps other things that you are perceiving of the future this evening. We're just trying to understand the future. And yes, Krishna Kripa Prabhu.
Well, sometimes these things seem really depressing, you know?
Yeah.
I think that there's all these demoniac governments with all these demoniac plans. But we just celebrated this amazing festival on the Sringa Chaturdashi. And at that point in time, the government was worse than any government present on the planet, you know? And this pure devotee was 100% protected from all the demonic influences of that demonic government simply by remembering the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
that's something that's so inspiring. If I can learn how to fix myself in the remembrance of the Lord and teach people the remembrance of the Lord, then I can protect them from the most severe demonic situation.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's such a beautiful point that, all of this can become overwhelming. But peace is not the absence of anxiety, is not the absence of problems, it's not the absence of all of these things. Peace is the presence of divinity in every situation. And that was Prahlad. Prahlad, this boy saint, somehow cultured a remembrance of divinity. As I said, this human divine connection, so that in whatever adversity he was faced with, all he saw was opportunity and a divine hand behind it. So yeah, thank you for raising that point. That is, our human divine connection is not just about our contribution to the world, but it's our protection. Our purity is our immunity from the complexity. Wow, getting on a bit of a roll here. Yeah, it's our immunity. So yeah, thank you for raising that. Appreciate it. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the talk. I was talking with my group here, and they shared.
Prabhu, can you just a little louder so everyone can hear you? Yeah.
I was talking with my group about what is depressing, and they were sharing tonight. What it came up to me is that it seems that to overturn all of these things, we have to really swim against the current. It's not a thing, let's just work on this. You need so much strength and to go against how people think and almost create all these bridges so they can see the value on the things you want to show them, but in a way where it's not so away from their worldview. So, and even myself, I'm super. I try to be serious with practice, and I struggle so much in New York with that energy. I feel it's I'm running, but the belt is going 100 miles per against me. So I'm just
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we know what you're going through, Prabhu. Yeah, no, it's a fact. It's a fact. It's gonna. What is it gonna take? You're swimming against the tide. But like I said, when you wake up in the morning, you may not be able to change the whole world, but you can go out in the morning and change one person's world. Isn't that beautiful? What could be more meaningful in life than doing that? That's a successful day, right? But you're right, we have to be organized, we have to be intelligent. Martin Luther King said, the people who want peace in the world have to be as organized and intelligent as the people out there trying to create war. It's amazing how the people who want to basically destroy the world are so motivated, so hardworking, so on it. And you're can you just become a devotee of Krishna? Because we need people like you, It's amazing, actually. So, now Rath Yatra is coming. And so Jayananda Prabhu was a great devotee. He was the one who really begun that festival. And he has this beautiful quote. He said, so many people could be saved from so much suffering if every devotee just became a little bit more committed to sharing the mercy. we have no idea of what we're holding. It's like a gold dust, the holy name, the Bhagavad Gita, a positive alternative. It's like it's so valuable, and if we just all become a little more committed to sharing it, you know, who knows what will happen in the world, but so many people will be benefited. So yeah, it is. But it's also kind of nice to be out there in the world and have a part to play, you know. It's nice to be a rebel, but you have to be a rebel with a cause. Every kid wants to be a rebel, but they're a rebel without a cause, you know. So it's good to go against the grain. And anyway, those are some thoughts. But yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, Prabhu.
Actually, I had a question on Ashtashabdika Bhavs, but I'm going to save
Oh, the Ashtasabdika Bhavs. My God, from the apocalypse to the Ashtasabdika Bhavs. Prabhu, that's quite a jump there, you know. Maybe that's another setting. Yeah. No, definitely.
I want to go back to this human-divine connection. And I want to point to Srila Prabhupada, how he came to America, came to New York City here with $7. And he was so obviously immersed in that divine relationship that he had with Krishna, that he was not intimidated by all the skyscrapers, all the technological advancements on America, or the ability to, you know, manipulate material nature. So I think that's rubbed off onto you, which is a very nice presentation here. And
Yeah, no, I totally, yeah, what you're saying, you know, like, when I drive around New York, I'm just like, this is a monster. Like, New York is like, it's like, I've been to many cities, but New York is a monster. It's like, it's overwhelming. And it's amazing. I actually really appreciate what you're saying, because you have to imagine, Prabhupada was one person. How much faith do you have to be one person in the monster of New York and hold to what you're saying, knowing that this is it, this is the truth, this is what people need. I mean, that kind of conviction is inconceivable. So anyway, all of you guys are riding the monster. I come in and out, pay my pranams to the monster, and then retreat back to more saner places. But it's a great blessing also to be in New York, to keep that legacy going. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Going back to the point on this is golden, these holy names that we chant. I was reflecting on my personal experience with the word God being very triggering for a very long time, coming from Catholicism.
Yeah, sorry, we just get this done, and then because I can't follow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Masha. Yeah.
So I was saying that for me personally, reflecting back, I was not connecting to God for many years. The idea of God was triggering, and this practice is so beautiful because it organically has grown on me. But I wonder if it's golden and it's available to everyone. And we think of, you were saying, every decade now is like centuries, a couple centuries ago, like it's just growing so fast. So a question that I have is, how do we communicate these beautiful teachings to those people like me that think of God and they just want to run away? Or they think of rules and it's like, there's so many rules. So I wonder.
Yeah, no, it's such a beautiful point. Yeah, I mean, we're all racking our brains to figure it out. I think one basic thing is, if you don't take the time to hear people, why will people take the time to hear you? We got to know, like, what are people's needs? What are their interests? What are their concerns? What are their pain points? Like, we can say, like, I'm a devotee of Krishna, I have nothing to do with this world. But if you want to go out into the world and help people, you need to know something about this world. You need to know what people are struggling with. And just see here, like everything the world is struggling with, we have so much to say. We have so much to give. Right? Like they say 3 types of video go viral in the world today, based around 3 questions broadly. Number 1, what is my purpose? Number 2, how can I find love? And number 3, how can I have better mental health? These are like the 3, and this is not me, this is just statistics. This is what people want to know the answer to. What is my purpose? I mean, the Bhagavad Gita begins and ends with the word dharma, which is your existential purpose. I mean, the whole book is framed around dharma. How to find love? Well, the whole middle of the Bhagavad Gita is about bhakti. I mean, it's teaching you how to find love. And the mind, how can I have better mental health? Well, I mean, that topic repeats itself so many times. In fact, Krishna spends the entirety of basically the chapter 6 explaining to Arjuna slowly how to control the mind. We are sitting on information that everyone wants. The question is, are we going to be able to meet people where they are and find the language which will help them to be able to access this? I'll give you an example. Some years ago, Sadhguru, we'll just say his name, Sadhguru launched his app, meditation app. I don't know if anyone here has downloaded it. When he launched his meditation app, it reached 1 million downloads in, I think, about 19 hours, which, okay. But just to give you some context, it took ChatGPT 5 days to get to 1 million downloads. Sadhguru's app beat it by 5 times. That's how much people are struggling with the mind. Here we have it. Like we have a great product. We're doing okay. We got a good product here. I mean, mantra means to free the mind. I mean, it seems like the market is good at the moment. I mean, the market is really good. We're on a winner here, guys. We got to ride the wave. Right? But the question is, are we going to be able to find the language? We're in New York. I don't know, what's the New York language, but we need to figure it out. Prabhupada, when he came to America, he said, in the beginning, when I came to America, I was just studying the people. I was just studying the people. So there's a lot of people to study in New York, a lot of characters here. Just go down the subway, you meet them all. Anyway, these are just some thoughts. So yeah, it's a great art. It's a great adventure. I think we're going on too long here. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.